Let's talk about how do you add, subtract, divide, and multiply complex numbers. The first one, if you want to add complex numbers, let's say we have a plus bj, or jb, whatever you want to call it. You want to add to it c plus dj. So we'll call this the addition rule. So how do we add them? Just think about this. If you were to add 2 plus 3x to add to it 4 plus 5x, how would you add them? Don't you add the 2 to the 3 and you add the x's together? So if again, here's an example. If I said to you, I want to add 2 plus 3x and I want to add to it 4 plus 5x. You go, I got to collect like terms. I got to add the 2 to the 4, which is what? 6. And I'm going to add the x's now, the like terms. 3 and 5, which is what? 8x. Well, complex number, the same thing. When you're adding, these two are the same type. So it's a plus c, separate, plus j, and that would be b plus d. You add the real portion to the real portion, the imaginary portion to the imaginary portion. So if I have 5 plus 4j, and I want to add to it 8 minus 3j. Let's add the real to the real. What's 5 plus 8? 13. What's 4j minus 3j? 1j, you don't put the 1. 13 plus j, or if you want to put the 1, go ahead. 13 plus 1j. I'm not sure how the software want to see the 1 or not. Probably in this case they want to see the 1. I'm not really sure. Six minus 3j. I want to add to it 5j. Uh-oh. That doesn't look like a complex number at the end. Does it? What was it, Catherine? Yes, that's a 0. So if you don't see the imaginary portion, I mean the real portion, put a 0. What's 6 plus 0? 6. What's minus 3j plus 5j? What's 7 plus 4 minus 6j? Now this doesn't even have a j in it. So what do we do? 0j. 7 plus 4? 11 minus 6j. So that's how we add complex number. Let's look at subtractions. Subtraction. If I have a plus bj and I want to subtract from it c plus dj. Just like addition, you subtract the real from the real, the imaginary from the imaginary. A minus c and the imaginary portion should be what? B minus d, and you put the j either in the front or at the end. Three plus 5j and I want to subtract from it 4 minus 2j equals the real minus the real. 3 minus 4, negative 1. 5 minus a negative 2. What's 5 minus a negative 2? How about plus 7, right? Because that becomes 5 plus 2. That's plus 7j. Eight minus 4j, subtract from it negative 5 plus 2j. Eight minus a negative 5. 8 minus a negative 5. What is that? 13. Negative 4 minus a 2. Negative 6j. So addition, subtraction, straightforward. The real to the real, imaginary with the imaginary. The multiplication and division, a little bit longer. Let's look at the multiplications. If I have A plus BJ, you want to multiply that by C plus DJ. You multiply that just like if you have 3 plus 2x times 4 minus 5x. We use the FOIL method. What's A times C? AC. What's A times DJ? That's A, D, and there's the J at the end. I'm doing the FOIL method. What's BJ times C? C, B, J. And what about this one? That's B, D, J squared. This is AC. I can factor a J here. I can collect like terms. That would be what? AD plus CBJ. But let's look at this. What's J squared equal to? J squared from early today was what? Where's my J squared? Negative 1. So if I let J squared equals negative 1, this will turn to negative BD. There's no J in it. So I can take these two and put them together now. And that's what you're going to have. So we're going to FOIL them all the time. I'm not going to memorize this because I'll never remember it. But I'm going to FOIL my problem, and I know J squared is a minus 1. Let me take a few examples and see what the answer is. Three minus 5j times what? 4 plus 2j. I'm going to use the FOIL method. 3 times 4, which is what? 12. This one is what? 6j. Negative 20j. And that's negative 10j squared. Keep in mind that j squared is a negative 1. So that negative 10j squared will turn to what? Positive 10. So what's 12 plus 10? 22. What is 6j minus 20j? Is it negative 14j? Another one. 8 plus 2j times 3j. Now I don't have 0 plus 3j. I could make it, but I really don't need it. This is like multiplying. I'll wait till you finish writing. This is the same as going 8 plus 2x times 3x. You distribute that. So if you distribute that, 3j times 8 is what? 24j. 2j times 3j is what? 6j squared. J squared is what? Negative 1. So that will make this one what? Negative 6. So it's negative 6 plus 24j. So just remember your algebra. It's the same thing. Treat j just like x. The only difference is when you have j squared that turns to a negative 1. Now when you have division, so we did addition, we did subtraction, we did multiplications. What's left is division. If I have a plus bj and you want to divide that by c plus dj. Remember, j is the square root. But let me refresh your memory. Let me take you back a while ago. I'm not going to do complex numbers, just this example. If you had 2 plus the square root of 5 divided by 3 minus the square root of 7. And if I said to you, rationalize the denominator, rationalize, that means what? Don't use square roots in the bottom. So what do you do to get rid of that square root in the bottom? Multiply it by what? You multiply by the conjugate, right? We used to say the conjugate. And we switch that sign. Well, this is the same thing. Because j is the square root of negative 1. So when you're dividing, you want to multiply by the conjugate. And the conjugate of this is c minus dj. And you FOIL them and you simplify your answer. So when you FOIL this one out and you collect like terms, you're going to end up with, again, I'm not really a fan of writing these equations there, but I'll put it there, AC plus times a minus, that's a minus, but with the j squared make it a plus. Up, D here. And the imaginary portion j will be what? B times C, or CB, minus AD with the J. I'm going to do them in a minute, like without memorizing this. The bottom, the middle pieces will cancel each other out. You're always going to end up with c squared plus, not minus, plus d squared. All I did, I just did the FOIL method in my head. I multiplied this with this and cleaned it, and I multiplied this with this and I cleaned it, collect like terms. That's all I did. So let's take an example. 2 plus 5j divided by 3 minus 2j, and you want to divide them. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the complex conjugate, which is 3 plus 2j. And let's go slowly multiply them out. This will be, I'm leaving a space so I can do my crisscross here. In the bottom, I'm going to have 3 minus 2j times 3 plus 2j. This times this over this times this. And let's do the math. What's 2 times 3? 6 plus what? 4j plus what? 15j plus 10j squared. 10j squared, that's a plus 10j squared. The j squared is a negative 1. That will make that what? Negative 10. So what is 6 minus 10? Negative 4. What's 4 plus 15? 19j. Now let's look at the bottom. FOIL method again. 3 times 3, 9 plus 6j minus 6j minus 4j squared. And notice the 6j and the minus 6j are gone. That's why we switch the sign. And the negative 4j squared will turn to what? Positive 4. So what's 9 plus 4? 13. So that's your answer. If you want to write that as a complex number, you can write that negative 4 over 13 plus 19 over 13j. Either one is correct. I'll try another one or two. Maybe I'll put twist in it there. What about if you have 1 minus j divided by 3j? What are you going to do here? Notice this is really 0 plus 3j, isn't it? So what's your conjugate? 0 minus 3j. So I'm going to multiply by negative 3j. So that's why I'm switching the sign to negative, because that's 0 plus. I just don't want to write the 0. You want to put the 0 there? Go ahead. So this becomes negative 3j times 1 minus j. On the bottom is going to be 3j times a negative 3j. What's negative 3j times 1? Negative 3j. What's negative 3j times a minus j? Negative times a negative positive 3j squared. We'll come back and fix it. The bottom is what? How about you multiplying? Negative 9j squared. J squared is a minus 1. It will make that what? Negative 3 minus 3j. J squared is what? Minus 1 is going to make that plus 9. And if you want, you can look at the top, factor 3 out. To simplify, if you factor 3 out, you have negative 1 minus j. Not if you want, you have to do it. You have to simplify your answer. Doesn't matter if you want it or not. So by 3, this is 1. By 3, this is 3. So my answer is negative 1 minus j over 3. And if you want to write it as a complex number, you go negative 1/3 minus 1/3 j. I'll add one more example, then we're out of this section. What about if we have a problem that looks like this? 3 over 2j minus 5 over j minus 6. Now, if you're going to add or subtract fractions, what do you need? Common denominator. Yes, and what's the common denominator? The least common denominator here is what? It's 2j times what? J minus 6. That's the LCD. So you're going to make each fraction now 2j times j minus 6. We'll simplify that later. That means I need to multiply the 3 by what? Is it j minus 6? And I need to multiply the 5 by what? 2j. So let's multiply this. What's 3 times j? 3j. Positive. Oh, I wrote I. Again, a lot of times I use I instead of j, but we'll stick with the j today. And what's 3 times a negative 6? That's a negative 18. I like the real to be first, the imaginary to be second. Minus. What's 5 times 2? 10j. Can I simplify that? Negative 18. 3 minus 10. Is that 7j? With the negative. In the bottom, I'm going to have what? 2j squared minus what? 6 times 2j, is that 12j? Which is negative 18 minus 7j over j squared is minus 1, that's negative 2 minus 12j. Now, if they don't like that answer, you can always rationalize it. So this is good, but if they want to rationalize that, then you got to multiply it. Multiply the top and the bottom by negative 2 plus 12j. Because when they give you complex numbers, a lot of times they want the answer as a complex number. That's not a complex number. That's a complex number divided by a complex number. So they want to simplify it. I'm leaving a space so I can draw the lines back and forth when I FOIL it. Probably need a calculator for this. Let's see. What is that equal to? Positive 36. That's a negative some big number, 12 times 18. 216j plus 14j minus times a plus is negative 7 times 12. 84j squared. Let's finish the top while we add it. This will be a plus 84. Plus. So what's 36 plus 84? It's 120 minus 202j. Let's FOIL the bottom. 4 minus 24j plus 24j minus times a positive negative 144j squared. This becomes a plus. 4 plus 144, is that 148? Can I divide them by 4? 2 or 2? No, you can't. I think I can divide by 2. If you divide each one by 2, what do we have? 60 minus 101j over, what's that, 74? And again, you can write that 60 over 74 minus 101 over 74j. The 60 over 74, we might be able to divide that by 2. I don't know if you can divide it by 4. Can you divide 74 by 4? Nope. So if you divide this by 2, you'll have what? 30 over 37 minus 101 over 74j. I'm not sure how far they want you to go with it, but you can shrink it to this. If you want to rationalize it or write your answer as a complex number, then you have to go use the complex conjugate, and there's your answer.